Hi everyone, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm introducing a new thing. Every month I'm going to do a sci-fi bingo for all the modern sci-fi books I read that month, because it's usually around at least 3, sometimes more, like 6, so we'll see. I already do a bingo chart for my classic sci-fis as a way to kind of talk about some of the stuff in the books, kind of like jumping off points, but honestly it takes a lot to edit, so I don't want to do it for every single book that I read, and I don't want to overanalyze the modern books most of the time, because a lot of the time they don't need that. I like to analyze the old classic sci-fis because no one really analyzes them, and it's interesting to look at them from like a new historicist perspective. I don't know. Anyway, I won't talk about that anymore. So this bingo thing is a lot of fun though to do. I really like doing it. So I'm going to do kind of like a competition each month to see which of the books I read that get a bingo based on my chart that I made up. They don't win anything because it's completely random, but it's fun. So we'll see if this is something entertaining for everybody. I mean, it's entertaining for me. I also figured this might be a cool time to mention that book 1 of my space opera trilogy, oh my god, where is it? Here it is. Escaping First Contact, has made it into the SPSFC2, the self-published science fiction competition for 2022. As you might recall, my debut novel, oh god, I don't have it right now, What Branches Grow, here it is, made it to the semifinals last year, which was really great. I'm not sure how my chances are with EFC. It's quite weird at times, and people who don't like drugs will probably hate one scene, and people who don't like sex won't like one scene. It's also part of a trilogy that, if I can say so myself, definitely grows with books 2 and 3. There's a lot more kind of poignancy. There's a bit more kind of, not political, but like, it's got more kind of heft to it. Book 1's kind of more like an adventure, and book 2 and 3 have a lot, build out the world as a lot more as well. But we'll see. And you know what? I'm going to throw it in my bingo example chart too, because why not? This is an example. I'm going to be doing a summer version that is for June, July, and August, so that's a lot of books, but that'll be fun. And then the next video of this will be the first week of October, wrapping up the books I reviewed in September. So anyway, here are the categories. I've gone through hundreds of tropes, so I hope I have everything, or at least most things. Some of these you will recognize from my classic sci-fi bingo, but others have been replaced with more modern trope, with more common modern tropes. So I'm just going to briefly explain what they are, literally like a few words each. So sentient AI or robots, that's pretty obvious. Spaceship blowing up or crashing, that's pretty obvious. Metaverse, virtual reality, this is like if a great deal of the story takes place in there, or if it's a central part of the plot, not just that it like exists in the story. Space soldiers, so this means that there are space soldiers that go into space battle. They're not just like existing in the space. Generation ship, this is, you know, when people live on the ship for generations trying to find a new planet, or just living in a transient fleet, I don't know. Alien human romance, I'm obviously leaving that one in there. LGBTQ plus representation, so this is if the world has normalized queer relationships to the fact that we don't have to explain it, or if there is a queer main character. Unique aliens, so this is aliens that have a lot of depth to them. They're not just some generic blob creature. First Contact, that should be obvious. New worlds, this can be either new worlds that we have settled, or just new worlds we've discovered, things like that. Time travel or parallel universes, pretty obvious. Faster than light technology, which is pretty common. Spaceship is just the free one. Forerunner technology, as I've explained in my classic sci-fi bingo, this is like where you find the remnants of a past civilization that is gone and we can't talk to them, and they have a lot of cool stuff. Body mods, so this is not just like having prosthetics. This is like, you know, having chips implanted in your brain, or having like you know, like your arm replaced with a crazy bionic arm that can shoot lasers, things like that. Portals or black holes. Evil corrupt government, this is very common. And this can be either that the government is out to get the people, or is being very bad. Sometimes it can be like a corporation is in control of the world, and there's that as well. Yeah, you know. Gender neutral words, so this is not using mankind, which is a pet peeve of mine, so I decided to put it on the bingo in a pretty central spot. Racial equality, this is if there's people of color in the world and they're not treated like crap and they're not stereotypes, and they are part of the story. Clones. Post-apocalyptic, this is always going to be on there. A morally gray main character, this is common now too. Galactic war. The book has something to say, so something like, you know, an unkindness of ghosts obviously was a critique on systemic racism and slavery and things like that, so that kind of thing. The book passes the Bechdel test, which is common now, should be a giveaway in this day and age. And then we have my quick book bonus, which is exactly the same as my classic sci-fi, which is reptile aliens, a female main character, and convergent evolution, which is something that I'm very fond of. So these are the categories. Now I'm going to go through and I have some books here, the ones I talked about in June to August, and my own book, that each have their own little decal, and I'm going to mark it off on the bingo chart, whether they've accomplished said category. So we have EFC, obviously. This is marked down with a little heart. We have Primitives by Eric Krauss, which is marked with a bow and arrow because it's a primitive technology. I don't know. That might be problematic, and I'm sorry if it is. End of Empires by Toby Frost, which is marked with a little British guard with a little hat. Plenum by Jeffrey Jan Edwards, which is marked by a little like shooting star thing. Alien Inferno's War, which is marked with an alien face. We have Enthralled by Tiffany Roberts, which is marked with, of course, a spider. And we have Velocity Weapon by Megan O'Keefe, which is marked with a spaceship. And then The Last Quintista by Donna Barbara Herguera, which I now realize I didn't review on this channel. This is actually a kid's book, and it's marked with a world because it's about new worlds. So let's see what these things go for. Let's see what these things get. Sentient AI or robots. Yes, for Velocity Weapon for sure, and for Inferno's Fall, as there are sentient AI in that. Spaceship blows up, Inferno's Fall has a spaceship blowing up for sure, and Escaping First Contact has this as well. Metaverse, virtual reality. Nope, none of the books I read in the summer have virtual reality or metaverse, so that's fine. Space Soldiers, there's a lot of it for this one. There's End of Empires, there's Velocity Weapon, there's Inferno's Fall, and there's EFC, because there's Space Marines in my book. Generation Ship, The Last Quintista is basically a generation ship. Enthralled dealt with a generation ship, and then EFC perhaps has one. Alien Human Romance, Enthralled, and EFC, of course. LGBTQ plus representation. So Plenum, for sure, the main character is queer. Velocity Weapon, there is a non-binary character named Arden. Inferno's Fall has quite a few queer characters, and then EFC has a main character that is queer as well. Unique aliens, Enthralled, because giant spider dudes who have sex with women, that's pretty unique. Inferno's Fall has unique aliens to the extent that they are unique to the alien universe, in that the alien is a pretty iconic image, and I'd say that it's unique in that it was unique when it came out in 1979. It's 77, 79 or 77. I think it's 79. And it still retains its own style. EFC, I like to think that my aliens are unique. I'd say they are. End of Empires has a lot of unique aliens, including killer massive lemming men, for one. First Contact, Enthralled is a First Contact story, as is EFC. None of the other ones are. New Worlds, The Last Quintista for sure, as it deals with colonizing a new planet or cultivating a new planet. Enthralled, New World to us. A Velocity's Weapon would, I guess, but the world isn't very different from Earth. So I'm going to give it because I'm being nice, and I can't remember if there's any other worlds in there, but we don't really learn a lot about the worlds itself, like the worlds, what they look like, other than they're just kind of Earth-like. Inferno's Fall is also set on a new world. Time Traveler, Parallel Universes. Velocity Weapon is really the only one that deals with this. FTL, Velocity Weapon again. End of Empires has these ships. Inferno's Fall has these ships. EFC has these ships. Spaceship. Foreigner Technology, Inferno's Fall is pretty much the only one that has this. End of Empires has it a little bit, but it's not really Forerunner because the people are still around. It's just like an ancient warrior of their people, so I don't think that really counts. Body mods, as I said, in the sense of like genetics, like modified genetics or cybernetic eyes, things like that. Plenum, for sure. People there are very heavily genetically modified. The Last Quintista, there is genetic modification. Primitives deals with this as well. Velocity Weapon, the Protectors or whatever their name is, they have chips embedded in their skulls, and that's a big part of the story. Next is Portals or Black Holes, so Velocity Weapon deals with this. Plenum doesn't really deal with a black hole, but there's something in it that's close enough that I think it counts, so I think that's pretty cool. Nothing else has portals or anything like that. Evil Corrupt Government, Primitives, for sure, has to deal with a little bit like that. The Last Quintista, definitely. Inferno's Fall, definitely, in the form of corporations running things. Gender-neutral words. As I said, this means mankind does not show up. The Last Quintista for sure, Enthralled for sure, Plenum for sure, Inferno's Fall for sure, EFC for sure. I don't think Velocity Weapon did this. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. End of Empires does, but that's because it's set in this like futuristic 1800, like set in the future where the British Empire never ended and colonized space. So obviously it retains kind of like a 1850s kind of verbiage. So I'm not obviously like mad about that one because it's part of the flavor of the story. But yeah, it definitely doesn't use gender neutral words. Let's see what's next. Racial equality. The Last Quintista for sure, as the main character is Latina, and that's great. Plenum, because everyone's a blend pretty much. Velocity Weapon, I think the main two characters are people of color, but I can't remember. But there are other people of color in the story. Inferno's Fall, yep, the main characters are mainly people of color. Escape and First Contact, yep, my first two human characters. The only two human characters in the story are people of color. Clones. Nope, no clones in any of these. Post-apocalyptic. Primitives is the only one that focuses on this. Morally gray main characters. I mean, no, none of these people have morally gray objectives. Galactic War, Velocity Weapon, and End of Empires for sure has something to say. Plenum definitely has something to say. The Last Quintista definitely has something to say. And Inferno's Fall even has something to say. So everyone has something to say. No, just these three. Does it pass the Bechdel test? The Last Quintista definitely does. Plenum definitely does. Inferno's Fall does. EFC definitely does. I wasn't paying attention for the others, but I'm pretty sure they all pass because I usually notice if it doesn't pass the Bechdel test. So I would have like remembered that. So I'm just going to be nice and say all of you passed the Bechdel test. Good job. Now my quick pick bonus. Reptile aliens. End of Empires definitely has reptilian aliens, as does Escaping First Contact because I love reptile aliens. Female main character, I'd say Polly is one of the main characters in End of Empires. So yes, to all the books here, they all have a female main character, whether a main character or a shared main character. Like Primitives has a woman and a man main character, converging plot lines. It's a really good book. Yeah. And then Convergent Evolution, no one really has that. EFC does mention it, of course, so I'm going to give it a point for that because of course it does. It's one of my favorite concepts. So yeah, who gets a bingo on this? Looking at it, Velocity Weapon has A1 to D5, so like that one diagonal line. Inferno's Fall has the exact same one, so they both have sentient AI or robots, LGBTQ rep, they have the spaceship, they have racial equality, and they pass the Bechdel test, so good job, guys. EFC gets the quick pick bonus, but no one else manages to get a bingo, so it's actually kind of hard to get a bingo, so good job, you two, good job. You get my respect? I don't know. Anyway, I hope that was fun. I had a good time kind of plotting these out. Believe me, it took forever to make all the bingo charts. Oh my god, I'm not doing this with this many books ever again. But yeah, so in October I'll be doing the books that I read this month. So I'll give you a little preview. That'll be The Fall of Hyperion's going to be in there because I think 1990 is not a classic sci-fi. So I'm moving up to modern sci-fi. And also the big book XX up there that I'm going to be reviewing next week. There's also, I don't know, that might be it. Oh, bad with sci-fi in September. So we'll see. I'm sure I'll squeeze some more in. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know if there's any other bingo, if I missed a major bingo category, because I can replace something. I'm not replacing my gender neutral language, but I'll replace something else if you think there's something that I should have added instead. Yeah, so thanks.